Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Tuesday regulars all lined up for you. Glen West talking Tigers at 1:30. Sharief Isheak talking Saints and Pels at 2:30. We're going to talk briefly about Garrett Nussmeier's ranking on NCAA football, the video game. Not because I think that's important at all, but I do think it is reasonable to discuss his standing with his peers and kind of discuss just one other aspect of talking season with quarterbacks and whatnot. The transfer portal in baseball closes tonight, I believe at 11 o'clock our time. I haven't seen that in writing. Midnight is what you see. I'm going to assume that's Eastern time. I think there are officially 10 hours left for players to get in the transfer portal as we very, very clearly pointed out at the end of last week. The rumor mill is ablaze, not the actual portal. The rumor mill is ablaze with Ace Reese discussion, certainly on the start bill side of things. If we hear anything over the next 2 hours, I'll let you know. But right now, LSU really has only had one player that I would call of significant consequence into the transfer portal. That's Ashton Larson. Certainly had a lot of other players, David Hogg and Mikey Ryan and several pitchers that didn't see much playing time this year have jumped in to the transfer portal, but Larson's really been the only one that had been I would call contributor on the team. I don't even know if I would go as far as say significant contributor, but contributor on the team. So LSU in good shape from that perspective. And they continue to add left-handed pitching out of the transfer portal. They got a commitment within the last hour, and I'll certainly talk about that in our next segment here. So plenty to do. Lock us in. We appreciate you being here. We'll start things the same way we start every single show. That is with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
So let's crank things up with some football talk. The Manning Passing Academy was this past weekend. Obviously, that's always a big deal here in South Louisiana. It's really kind of a big deal for the college football world because you've got some of the best quarterbacks in the country that come down to Thibodaux, and they spend time with Archie and Peyton and Eli, and Arch is there as kind of a headliner, and always the LSU quarterbacks go down there and enjoy a couple of days, and Garrett Nussmeier was in that number, along with Arch Manning and Lenora Sellers and Cade Klubnik. I mean, there are lots of quarterbacks that are going to be headlining this fall in college football that were down there in Thibodaux over the weekend. And Garrett Nussmeier was able to sit down with the media and answer a few questions. And Beck, we'll start with number 4 here. This is something that it was a leading question by one of the reporters. I don't mean that in a negative way, but it was just they said, like, Brian Kelly has said this is the most talented roster he's had at LSU. And Garrett Nussmeier has been at LSU the whole time Brian Kelly has been at LSU and 1 year previous to Brian Kelly arriving on campus. So Garrett Nussmeier has seen the exact same thing that Brian Kelly has seen in Baton Rouge. And this was Garrett's follow-up to, like, hey, Brian Kelly said this is the best team y'all have had.
Well, he's not lying. It's definitely the most talented roster that I've been a part of at LSU. It's the closest team I've been a part of at LSU from top to the bottom of the roster. And so it's very exciting. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of expectations for us. We accept those expectations. And, I think that not only is there an expectation for us from the outside, but there's also an expectation for us from within.
And that's all, I think, right on point with everybody outside the program as well, is looking at this roster going, okay, you've got some recruiting classes you've stacked up. You've got some playmakers and weapons that you've cultivated in-house, and you've also got some guys that you've added via the transfer portal that you're asking to do big things, and everybody feels like this is going to be a really, really talented team. And I'm going to get to my end point here after this soundbite, but I'll play this as Garrett Nussmeier talking about having a lot of different guys that have come in from different schools that are going to have to gel to become one team with huge expectations this fall.
Yeah, I mean, it's been huge. I mean, obviously in this new era of college football, you have transfers and things like that. And the most important thing I think we've underlined is that, we have to be close. We have to create a chemistry, and I think we've done an unbelievable job with that. Whether it's you see the videos of us playing in the pool at Coach Kelly's house, or just hanging out over there, or doing different things, on our own time, just spending time around each other as much as we can, getting those transfers as comfortable as we can, and just trying to build that chemistry.
And that's all awesome. Like, it's great that LSU invested heavily in the transfer portal and signed some of the best players that were available to them. It's great that they've got a fifth-year senior quarterback coming back who is the most productive passer in the nation returning to school. It's great that they're going to Brian Kelly's for a pool party. It's great that Garrett Nussmeier feels like it's the most talented and most together team that he's been a part of. All that is awesome. And it all kind of funnels back to one of my, pillar talking points since I've been sitting in this chair now for 4 years. Pillar talking points. The college football calendar is so consistent. It starts in January, where you're hiring new coordinators and picking up recruits, and you're getting transfers in, and you've hired a new strength coach, and all that happens, and then you go to spring practice, and all the reports are glowing, and then you've got this time of year where they're not practicing, nobody's torn an ACL out there yet, nobody's broken a collarbone in an Oklahoma drill, nobody's lost a game for sure, and everybody's really feeling good about themselves, right? Everybody feels like this is a team that's going to put it together. This is the team that's going to overachieve. This is the three guys that the national media is sleeping on. This is it's eternal optimism this time of year because of sessions like this. And certainly it beats the alternative of, not having a talented roster and nobody caring. And, it could be worse, but it's also tough for me to really sink my teeth in and be like, oh, see, this is the ticket. Now, there is one significant change to this messaging season of LSU football. And it's been talked about by the head coach, and it's now being talked about by the quarterback. And it's a focus on the first game of the season. Garrett Nussmeier talked about playing at Clemson and the challenge that will present, even though he feels like he's got a really, really talented team that is as together as any team that he's been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be loud. It's going to be, a very intense environment, and it's something that, we welcome, we invite. It's a great opportunity. You come to LSU to play in environments like that. You get to play in a night game against another top-ranked team on prime time. They got a lot of players that are going to play for a long time, and so do we. And so, it's going to be a dogfight. And I think that we've attacked every single day with that mindset, like you said, just to go 1-0.
1-0 is something that Garrett Nussmeier said. It's a 15-minute interview session. I'm not playing you 15 minutes of clips here. He said 1-0 4 or 5 times in this interview sit-down, and realizes that it's very difficult with the expectations that have been created for this specific LSU team. It's difficult to reach those if you lose another opener. It just is. And that's not something we have heard a lot of in summers past. Like, Brian Kelly has been open and was at the spring meeting saying, I have never in my career hung things on the wall in the facility talking about one football game to open the season. And they have done that this year. They have all their eyes focused on Clemson. And you can take that as a negative or as a positive as a fan. You can go, good, they better do that. They've lost 5 in a row. And you can say, well, they shouldn't do that. There's more season after the Clemson game. And you're not wrong either way, just the way that you feel about that messaging. What it doesn't change is that they're doing it. They are making sure that they are focused on that game and being ready to play that game. And that's a different message than we've heard. And this is also a different message than what we've heard from Garrett Nussmeier, just naturally speaking, because this time last year, he had never been a full-time starter. He has been a full-time starter. How much different is this summer than last summer was for the incumbent starting quarterback?
Oh, it's huge. Night and day difference, being able to go back and watch a full season of tape and to study myself and work on the things that I know I need to improve on and be able to, have substance there to identify those mistakes and find those corrections. So it's been really, really huge for me, something that, I'm very looking forward to being able to, get out on the field this fall and correct those mistakes.
Here's something I'm going to buy in on with Garrett Nussmeier. I think with his background, growing up with a dad as a coach, not like just some Joe high school coach, like at the highest level of college football, at the highest level of football, period. Garrett Nussmeier's been there with Doug. So I believe his background is going to allow him to analyze his performance a little bit more aptly than maybe someone without that background could. And I think there is a chance that he could really make some strides from what he was last year. He's had the same quarterbacks coach now for 4 years. He's a second-year starter. He's a fifth-year player. There's not much he hasn't seen to this point. Now, the question was asked of Garrett, like, okay, no, you watched all that film and stuff, and, like, what are you trying to work on?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely no question that I didn't, use my legs enough last year and I wasn't mobile enough. And so I definitely made that a point of emphasis for me this year and this offseason, just as far as, weight training and things like that. Just, making myself, more twitchy and things like that. And so it's definitely been a good offseason. I think Coach Flynn has done a really good job. I think the whole team has kind of attacked the weight room and conditioning and a very, very strong mindset, a 1-0 mindset, as we keep talking about. So I think it's been very good.
This is such an easy correction to make. Like, it is so easy. I need to run more. Like, how easy is that to correct? It's hard to correct. Well, I'm Jameis Winston. I threw 20 interceptions last year. Like, that's just part of throwing the football. It's hard to correct things that you're physically unable to do. Just instead of keeping your eyes locked in down the field, like, just tuck it and go get 6 yards. Like, that is so easy to correct. And if he saw on tape, like, how often me and you, who are either zoomed out on the television or sitting inside Tiger Stadium, see the field and go, run! Like, that's easy to see. It's easy to do. I'm not asking for him to run for 1,000. I'm asking him to run 3 more times a game and go get the 6 yards when they're there instead of trying and then forcing it down the field. Just go run. And I think he's going to do that. And now there's one more talking point I want to get to here, which is the inevitable comparisons between Garrett Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. I'm going to push back on those today, in 2 weeks when we go to Atlanta for media days, when they start fall camp, leading up to the Clemson game. Like, I'm going to push back on, well, he might win the Heisman. Like, that's hard to do. It's hard to win the Heisman. Like, it's hard to be as good as Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels were in their final college years. And the odds are Garrett Nussmeier won't be quite that good. He could be. He could win the Heisman. Absolutely. Am I going to say, well, Burrow won the Heisman and Daniels won the Heisman, so he's probably going to win the Heisman? I'm not going to do that. But I think there's a chance that he could have a really good year. I like his answer to this question when asked about the leap that Burrow and Daniels made and then him going into his second year at LSU.
I'm Garrett Nussmeier. I'm not Jaden Daniels. I'm not Joe Burrow. I'm Garrett Nussmeier. And so I'm going to be the best Garrett Nussmeier that I can be, and hopefully it's enough for the LSU Tigers.
Garrett Nussmeier is a better quarterback than he is a quote. He's generally pretty vanilla in front of the mic, and this is one of those vanilla answers. But if he means that to his core and knows that he doesn't have to do the things that he watched Jaden Daniels do, then I think he'll be okay. And look, I'm not trying to like pour cold water on this whole thing at all. I think that LSU's offense is going to be great this year. I just don't want to immediately hold Garrett Nussmeier right directly to the greatest 2 seasons in the history of quarterback at LSU and say, if you don't reach that, you've failed. LSU's got to do a lot of things around Garrett Nussmeier to be as good as they need to be. They got to play much better defense. They've got to run the ball significantly better. They need to be more dynamic on the outside at wide receiver. Like, there are things that are out of his control that have to go well for LSU to reach where they're going to be, but he's got to be central to LSU's best efforts. And I think he knows that. I know he knows that. And he doesn't have to do exactly what those other 2 guys did. So that's a look at what Garrett Nussmeier had to say. I think some of the messaging is interesting. And we are firmly into talking season here, y'all. Very, very much into talking season. It is July 1st, which means this is a time in this industry that is different than every other month. For the rest of the time, while I cover LSU specifically, they will not play a game in July ever. And I personally love the games more than anything. there are things we have to talk about with house settlements and NIL deals and portal issues and official visits and whatever the case may be. But I'm in this because I love the games, and there are no games in July ever. So we buckle our chin straps metaphorically and we dive into talking season and get into all this, and that's what we'll do for the next month. We get a fun week, which is a busy week in Atlanta in 2 weeks for SEC Media Days, and then you turn around in 2 weeks, they report for camp, and then they're practicing their interviews, and we're knee-deep into it again until they leave the field, hopefully in Omaha, 10 months later. But for July, doesn't say we have nothing to talk about. That's not what I'm suggesting. I am suggesting it's not my favorite stuff to talk about. My favorite stuff to talk about are the games. We don't have those, so we get into stuff like this. We'll do a little bit more of that with baseball transfer portal. LSU got a left-handed pitcher as a commitment today. I'll tell you about him next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Safety is a big deal when you're picking out a new vehicle. How about you get behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road? Every single model in the Genesis line, all of them. Entry level, highest end, SUV, down to the sedan, all of them. IHA top safety picks, all of them. Some of them top safety picks plus. You know when you get behind the wheel of a Genesis, you are in one of the safest cars on the road. It's important to them. Part of the experience of being a Genesis driver. Get that safety and security. You get 3 years of complimentary maintenance. You get a 100,000-mile, 10-year warranty. Go by and see my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're airline at Pico, across from Women's Hospital. Of course, online at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. That's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 7.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, with a little tweet here. Says, Scoop, contrary to popular reports on the internet, Ace Reese tells me he will stay put in Starkville, will not enter the transfer portal. So that's a big keep there for Mississippi State, obviously. That was a lot of drama. Clearly, Ace Reese is a guy. I mean, this is from Robbie Falk, who covers Mississippi State as closely as anybody. Does an awesome job for the On3 team. Said that like the team, they met with Ace Reese like into the wee morning hours of this past, like today, like last night. So clearly, like significant discussions going on with Ace Reese. Not really sure what he wanted to do. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what was so appealing about getting out of Starkville. Like I don't know. Everybody's motivated a little bit differently. Maybe he just wanted to see what was out there. I'm not sure, but it doesn't appear that he's going to get into the transfer portal. A lot of smoke rumored about that LSU was trying to goad him into that. I have no knowledge of that whatsoever. But it was interesting, and certainly the message boards were ablaze over the last week or so. But he will stay put in Starkville, according to Kendall Rogers. Still has, I guess, 9 hours to change his mind there. One player that was in the transfer portal that LSU has added a commitment from is left-handed pitcher Santiago Garcia from Oregon. Garcia is a native of Las Cruces, New Mexico, like Stephen Milam. He played at Centennial High School, like Stephen Milam. They were teammates at Centennial High School in Las Cruces. Santiago Garcia went to Central Arizona Community College, which is a very high-level JUCO league that he played in. Played against San Jacinto and some of those really good teams out west, and decided after that to go to Oregon, where he spent one season. He's 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, and for the Ducks this past year was a high-usage reliever. He had 24 appearances out of the bullpen. That tied for the Ducks' lead, and his numbers are not going to blow you away for the season. He threw 30 innings, 40 strikeouts, and 19 walks, so high strikeouts, high walks. An ERA of 4.2. So not eye-popping numbers on their surface there for Oregon. He did have 4 saves for the Ducks. But if you dig a little bit deeper into Santiago Garcia, which I did, there's something that I like an awful lot. His last 10 appearances at Oregon totaled 10 2/3 innings, so about an inning at a time. In those 10 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts, and 4 walks. So he saved his best pitching for the end of the season at Oregon out of the back end of their bullpen, where he picked up a couple of saves there in those 10 2/3 innings. And then you add that into what he's doing on Cape Cod right now. He is throwing in the Cape Cod League, and thus far this summer, 9 innings, 3 hits, 13 strikeouts, 5 walks. He has not allowed an earned run at all for Hyannis this year on Cape Cod. So if I do this extra activity here, and I take the end of his season from April into May, and then I tack on his Cape Cod effort, which is pitcher-friendly league. They hit with wooden bats up there, and the pitchers generally do a really good job. But if I take those two efforts, the end of the season and Cape Cod, what he's done, 19 2/3 innings, 1 earned run, 25 strikeouts to 9 walks, just 7 hits in those 19 2/3. I haven't seen any of this, so I'm speaking a little bit out of turn, but it stands to reason he probably found something about a month and a half ago. Whether breaking ball, better command, he found something that was significantly better than February, March, and April in May, June, and now through July. And this is another left-handed ad. You got Ryler Smart from Tennessee. You got Danny Lockenmeyer from North Dakota State. You return Cooper Williams. You return DJ Primo. We'll see what Connor Ware decides to do. But you've got now a strong group of left-handed pitchers to go into the season with. All of these guys, with the exception of Williams, to me, profile as relievers. We'll see. They'll certainly have great resources at LSU to expand their role, whether that's to become a closer, whether that's to become a starting pitcher. Like, they'll have the opportunity. But you've got to stockpile pitching, and Jay Johnson very, very strongly believes in left-handed pitching. So I'm not going to speak to the signing class this week. I will probably do that. Well, I'll definitely do that next week before we go off to media days. The following week, I'll get into LSU's high school signing class. It is incredibly volatile. I'll tell you that. There are probably 10 or 11 names at the top that are significant draft risks. They won't lose all 10 or 11. They won't keep all 10 or 11. But I'm not going to get into that probably until next week. I'm talking about the group that we saw on the team this year and that they're bringing in from the portal. Those are the guys that you feel comfortable that they are going to have on this team. So to have Cooper Williams, DJ Primo, Ryler Smart, Danny Lockenmeyer to start with, and potentially Connor Ware, I think that's a good left-handed nucleus. And I think that the way to do this with a pitching staff is to get as many talented arms as you can in the boat. You just have to do it. I know that our opinion could be skewed based on what we just watched in Omaha, where it went. I mean, I think I can remember everybody they used in the College World Series. It was Anderson to Shores to Evans, and then it was Ianson to Evans to Shores, and then it was Anderson, and then it was, well, no, I missed the Cowan game where they used multiple guys in that Arkansas game at the back end of the week. But then you got to the championship series, and it was just Anderson, Ianson, Shores, and that was it. And that looks good. That blueprint sounds good. Well, you just ride your horses until you get in the loser's bracket, and then you can't. So you've got to have as many talented arms as you can find. And if they're only good for 6 outs, that's fine. And these guys have been 6-out guys. Lockenmeyer was this year. He had a couple of 3-inning outings. You're looking at Garcia. He was very much a 1 to 1 2/3 type guy for Oregon this year. Primo has been that in his career. So that's what they kind of profile as, and that's okay. If you have 4 or 5 left-handers, that's a really good place to start, and we haven't even gotten to potential adds out of the high school class. So I like where LSU sits with left-handers. You're very rarely going to have left-handers come in that throw 96, 97, like the Liam Doyles are rarities. They don't play a lot of college baseball. But if you've got a lot of guys that are 90 to 94 and can spin the ball, like that's good for a college left-handed staff. One of them develops into Cade Anderson, even better. Gage Jump, even better. But it's a good start, and I like what Garcia has shown thus far over the last 2 months of his baseball life. So Santiago Garcia, former high school teammate of Stephen Milam, headed to Baton Rouge to play for the Tigers. That's a quality ad from the Oregon Ducks earlier today for LSU. We'll keep you posted on anything else that we hear while we're on the air. It sounds like LSU may not be done today based on the internet rumblings, but if that happens while I'm still on, we'll certainly let you know about it. Glen West, Go 24/7 next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Always good when we chat with our guy Glen West. Go 24/7 joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Glenn, how we doing?
I'm doing all right, Hunt. Just gearing up for a bachelor's trip tomorrow. So we're going to be on vacation here for a few days coming up soon.
What's on the docket there? Beach, golf.
We're hitting up Puerto Rico for a few days.
All right.
About nine or 10 of us from high school, so that'll be fun.
I like to hear that. I've been to Puerto Rico. Very fun. Excellent work. Well, enjoy that. But before you do that, talk to me about sports.
Sure.
Let's talk about your time. You went down to Manning Passing Academy, chatted with Garrett Nussmeier briefly. What were your main takeaways from that?
Yeah, I think probably for me, the one thing that he said that I think really stood out to me, at least, is just the kind of work he's been putting on his body this offseason. I mean, he's really, I think, taken it to heart that he didn't use his legs a whole ton last year, and that's been a major focus for him in terms of building his body up the right way, and then trying to build some quickness, build some more stamina, and so when those opportunities do present themselves, he can be confident that he can go out and get some big yards down the field with his legs when he needs to. And look, this isn't going to be a guy that rushes for 600, 700, 800 yards, but if he can just keep defenses honest with his legs, I think most people that are watching can see that it will add another dynamic to this offense and certainly open up some things come fall for this group.
What do you think is a realistic next step for Garrett Nussmeier? Because he got the questions about Daniels and Burrow, and I keep pushing back on that. But how do you feel about the next step in his progression?
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple different things. Cutting back on the turnovers is certainly doable. I think for him, having some vertical threats this year is really going to help open up another layer of this offense. You know, they were just missing Chris Hilton so much last year, and you got a chance to see in that Oklahoma game and certainly in the Baylor game what the presence of a vertical threat can do for this offense when Nussmeier is behind center. He's got the arm talent, he can make all the throws, but certainly the decision making is going to have to evolve this year. He's going to have to cut back on turnovers. He's going to have to be a little bit more comfortable, I think, in the pocket when things break down, which I think is why using his legs will help in some fashion in that regard. But he's got all the tools to be a really good quarterback in the SEC this year and one of the best in college football. And it's just going to take a couple tweaks here and there to make it a more efficient, well-rounded game. And if he's able to do that, I think LSU's offense and this team are going to reap the rewards of that.
He talked about his offensive line and how there's going to be a pretty big turnover there. What did you get the sense of how he feels about that group entering camp?
Yeah, that's the single biggest question mark I think that you can have from an outsider's perspective when looking into this team right now. And I did ask him about that, and he gave me kind of the quarterback's answer that you'd want to hear. He talked about how those guys have been, working a lot with Brad Davis, or I guess working a lot together this summer. And then when Brad Davis gets them in the fall, they can really hit the ground running. I think that the tackle spots are probably pretty solidified between Tyree Adams and Weston Davis. I do think the interior line and certainly the center position are still pretty wide open in terms of who's going to be in that grouping of who starts. And look, it could very well be a situation where LSU's week 1 starters on the O-line are very different from their week 3 or their week 4 starters. I think they're going to keep an open mind with this thing early in the season, but you just want to have some kind of continuity going into the first game against Clemson because, quite honestly, that's going to be the toughest defensive line you could face all season long. And so to do that in week 1 or have to go through that in week 1 is going to be a real challenge and a real big test for that group.
That's the point, and I would suggest it's the problem.
Yeah.
But that is what it is. I mean, it'd be nice if you could break in a couple of mid-major games and then go play Clemson on the road. Yeah. But they didn't do that. So here we go. We'll see what they can do as an offense there. Do you sense that the messaging from Brian Kelly and Garrett Nussmeier this time around is a little bit different than you've heard in previous years? I'm picking up on a lot of 1-0, and we got to focus on Clemson, and we got stuff hanging on the football facility. Do you sense that there's a little bit of a different vibe this offseason?
Oh, definitely. I think so. I think really the first I'd heard of it, though, was going back to BK did a podcast, I think, with the college football game day guys a couple weeks ago, and he had talked about just, they have been doing things that he hasn't really done in his entire career, and that was focusing all their energy and their effort on Clemson for this week 1 matchup. And, I think it's a different approach for sure. I will see if it resonates with the guys. I mean, I asked the same thing to Nussmeier last week at Manning Passing Academy, and he talked about, there's a lot of rah-rah going on right now about just making sure these guys are physically ready to handle that first week and that first game because, let's face it, I mean, LSU has a long schedule ahead of it outside of the Clemson game, but that's going to be a defining moment for this team and just how far they can go, what their outlook of the entire season looks like, and really the wiggle room that you have or don't have if you win or lose that game. And so it could very well be the defining game of K's career in terms of just how important and massive it would be to get that win, but also how devastating it would be to have to start another season 0-1. So that's a lot of energy and effort have been put into those guys recognizing how important a game that this is going into the off season, and we'll see what kind of results it merits here on August 30th.
All right. They talked also about watching the baseball team win the national championship, and the chase to win the next one is already on because the transfer portal has opened up. LSU is doing what they can to fill out the roster, and you're seeing a very clear path here that LSU sees toward left-handed pitching. What do you make of 3 of the 5 additions being left-handed arms?
Yeah, it's certainly an emphasis. I mean, look, when you look at this kind of roster that's coming back, I mean, Cooper Williams is certainly coming back. We'll see about DJ Primo. I don't know, what maybe his draft prospects look like or portal prospects look like, but he's somebody that certainly could return and be an arm for LSU. So that's only two guys really that you have returning as left-handed pitchers, and that you could certainly make the argument LSU was a little bit scarce in that department this year outside of Anderson and Cooper Williams. And so, I think that they've really made a concerted effort to go get some guys. And look, I just talking to a few people, they really like Danny Lockenmeyer, the guy that they got from North Dakota State. We've heard pretty religiously this season how Jay Johnson felt about Anthony Ianson and how there's always a player that you get out of the portal that can really change the fortunes of your season and just the outlook of your overall ceiling, the ceiling of your team. I think they feel this way about Lockenmeyer, and I think that they think he's going to be a real centerpiece of what they do on the pitching staff side of things next year. So to get that player in out of the portal, for him to still have a couple years of eligibility before he can go to the draft, I think is also going to be really important. So they've done their due diligence on these guys. They went out and they found some really impact players on both the pitching side and then also on the infield side of things too. Between Braden Simpson and Seth Darter, and doesn't sound like they're done either. I think there's probably going to be some more moves here over the next week to 10 days.
Do you have a profile, like in terms of what you think they might be looking to add? It just seems like it's kind of a crowded roster at this point. Like, is there is there some aspect that they're looking to add to their team?
I think you could probably point to outfield being an area they might want to address, whether it's just one guy or two guys, whatever they feel is necessary. But look, I mean, you got Larson that just entered the transfer portal. Things are very up in the air right now, I think, with Chris Stanfield and Ethan Fry, and whether or not you can get one of those guys back. I would probably lean right now, as we're sitting here today, that both of those guys end up signing professional contracts. So that leaves Jake Brown and Derek Curiel as two outfielders, but then who's going to be the other guy? So I could certainly look at outfield as a position they might want to attack. More pitching. You can never have too many pitchers. And then I think that they really want to add another power bat, another infielder, another bat in this thing as well. And so I would guess 2 to 3 more players out of the portal. Jay's talked a lot this offseason, even on your show. I remember from a couple weeks ago about how picky they want to be in terms of adding guys because they feel like they have a strong core returning. So I do think that there'll be a couple more additions, but I don't think you'll see a real massive overhaul through the portal this year for LSU.
Travel safe. Have a great time, and we'll talk soon.
All right. I appreciate you, Hunt. Thank you.
Glen West, Go 24/7, senior writer for your team coverage, recruiting coverage. They got you covered over at Go 24/7. Let me piggyback on that while we're here because we're going to come back and change gears away from this top talking point. Chris Stanfield and Ethan Fry, if they come back to LSU, will sign for peanuts next year. Like, you $10,000, $12,000, $18,000, $20,000, factor in taxes and paying your agent. Like, it's just not much there. Ethan Fry could potentially sign something in the low six figures. I don't know if Stanfield's quite there because the tools are limited with Stanfield. He's just never going to hit for a lot of power, and he's kind of a dead pull hitter. But he can run, but that's really the defense is his best tool. But you're talking about forfeiting some significant money if you leave, depending on what your NIL situation is at LSU, and you're kind of going out on top here. That can be your last memory, and then you go try to make things happen professionally and see what happens. So I'm with Glenn there. I don't know that I expect either of them back. I would suggest you have a better chance with Stanfield than Fry. But any thought that they could bolster their draft stock is completely out the window because all draft stock means is money, and you lose all your money if you play your fourth college year. So I don't know what the NIL situation is. I know that the house settlement deal changes the way you can operate over there. And I do know this, that LSU has had conversations with all of their players that have draft options and returning options. So we're not talking about guys who have exhausted their eligibility. Like, no, you're not Luis Hernandez. They're not having conversations with him. He's done. Michael Braswell, done. But guys who could return and could go to the draft, they've had conversations with those guys about what their plan would look like here in Baton Rouge. What those plans are, I can't tell you. but they have had those conversations. And so to Glen's point, like, there may be an opportunity to go add an outfield bat. And then again, I keep going back to this because it's important. Like, I don't know what this high school signing class is going to look like. This is a signing class that's different than most of the ones I've evaluated with LSU, where there are so many, like, there are no Connor Griffins in this class. There was no chance ever that Connor Griffin was going to play college baseball. He was like the 3rd ranked player in the draft. Like, that guy is not in this class. But there are a bajillion of them from 30 to 200. And like, that's the meat of, can you get them to campus and will they sign professionally? And you're going to lose some and you're going to get some. And I can't venture right now to give you a great handle on what that's going to look like. So I'm avoiding that conversation for another week so I can sink my teeth a little bit more deeply into it. And then I'll let you know what my thoughts are. But Fry and Stanfield and Cowan are probably the most important conversations right now. Those 3 guys, I think it's reasonable to suggest they could come back, and I would probably lean toward the 2 offensive guys not coming back. We'll see. But again, I'm not etching that in stone. I'm just giving you an opinion based on nothing more than understanding of the industry, not the individual situations. I have no idea what Ethan Fry or Zach Cowan or Chris Stanfield feels about their degree, how close they are to their degree, how badly they want to get out of college and go play, how badly they don't want to go ride buses in the Midwest on minor league baseball, and they'd rather play on ESPN against Georgia. Like, I don't. Those individual situations. I don't know. So I'll just kind of wait on those guys and the draft that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. Let's come back and close out the hour. There are 2 LSU players listed among the fastest 10 in that new college football video game. See if you can guess the 2. We'll tell you when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, the new college football video game comes out here in the next couple of weeks, and they've started to leak some of their scores, which I'm not here to
ratings
suggest that, ratings, whatever. I'm not here to suggest that that's a really, really important talking point.
It's pretty important, actually.
But I do think that it's interesting that I would disagree with one little, the top 10 fastest players on the game. Nick Harbor is one of 4 players that is a 99 speed. It's the fastest you can be. Now, Nick Harbor is a freak at South Carolina, runs track, is trying to run in the Olympics. So that makes sense. But LSU has a player that's number 99, that's a 99 speed. Berrien Brown is a 99 speed on the game, which I think makes sense if you're going to make him one of the best kick returners out there. When he gets into the open field, he's got to turn it up a notch. But I'm just telling you, Jelani Watkins is a 98 speed, which is, it's 1 point, but Jelani Watkins is like a legit track guy.
Yeah.
I got a feeling if I put Jelani Watkins and Berrien Brown in a 100-meter race or a 100 or a 60-yard race or whatever, I like Jelani Watkins' chances.
Yes.
As a track guy. I mean, I get it. We're going to go with Berrien Brown, who's a kick returner, he's going to be a starting wide receiver, so he's going to be out on the field a little bit more. But I mean, we got to go with the track guy as the fastest guy. And Shea Dixon's on Twitter, and he's like, I just already know LSU fans are going to put Jelani Watkins at quarterback. And that's probably going to happen some because he's exceptionally fast. I found it so interesting last year at SEC Media Days. Brian Kelly was asked about freshmen that could play. And the first name he mentioned last year was Jelani Watkins. And I'm not sure why that was the first name he mentioned, because Jelani Watkins didn't really play last year. But I was thinking, like, for that to be the first name that comes out, you've got to have something had to have happened that he thought Jelani Watkins was going to be a factor on last year's team. And of course that didn't necessarily happen. But speed is not an issue for Mr. Watkins. He is one of the fastest players I think to ever wear an LSU uniform. And one of the names not on this list is Chris Hilton, who I would also take running against just about anybody. But LSU has 2 of the top 10 fastest players on the game. Nobody else in that category has 2 of them. Some familiar names on this list: a Kendrick Law, Captain Sharief product, who had been at Alabama, is now at Kentucky. He's a 97 speed. Zachariah Branch, who you may remember from USC last year, we were talking about leading up to that game. He's at Georgia now, 97 speed. And then Jordan Anthony from Arkansas, who I don't even know who that is, but he's a 99 speed on the game. And one of the fastest players. So if you're playing NCAA with LSU, get the ball to Berrien Brown and Jelani Watkins. They run very, very fast. And then quickly, I'll mention the top 20 quarterbacks. Maybe we'll get into this in the second hour. But Cade Klubnik is the number 1 quarterback on the game at 92 overall, tied with Garrett Nussmeier, 92 overall. So the 2 best quarterbacks in the country, according to the all-important rankings on EA Sports NCAA Football 26, will face each other in the first game of the season. Beck, I'll be honest, the more I think about that game and the fact that you're going to Clemson, where they have an obscene record, and you're playing a team that's got multiple first-round projected draft picks on the defensive line and what the video game says is the best quarterback in the country, it makes me a little apprehensive. I'll be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know that the rating from a college football game should make it even more for you, but it definitely still is going to be very daunting.
Little apprehensive here on the 1st of July. That's it for hour number 1. If you missed any of it, including our conversation with Glen West, a little baseball transfer portal talk, you can catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. We're going to step aside for Sports Center at the top of the hour. We'll chat Saints with Sharief Isheak in 35 minutes. Hope your work week's off to a good start. We'll pause for national headlines and come back with hour number 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Damian Lillard is out. Free agent center Miles Turner is in Milwaukee. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, Turner's agreed to a 4-year, $107 million contract with the Bucks, and to make room for him, the team's waiving Lillard and stretching the remaining $113 million over the 5 years left on his deal. Turner provides a boost in 2 areas for Milwaukee, explains ESPN NBA senior writer Andre Snellings.
Miles Turner seems like a perfect fit for the departed Brook Lopez. He does, he has similar strengths to Lopez, being a big man that can shoot the 3 and that could also be a rim protector. But he's also younger than Lopez and has faster foot speed, which means that he can help switch and defend on the perimeter better than Lopez.
Andre Snelling's on Joe and Q. Lillard, recovering from a torn Achilles, welcomed his release. Thunder star NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander agreed to a 4-year, $285 million Supermax extension. NFL tight end Darren Waller on retiring to join the Dolphins. Miami to trade a 2026 sixth-rounder, the Giants, who own his rights.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Wednesday, I'll continue to tell you why LeBron James and the Lakers are trending towards a breakup and why it will be the best decision for all parties involved. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Sharief Isheak talking Saints in 30 minutes. We'll mix in a little bit of Pels talk as well. Before we dive into this hour, just a little bit of housekeeping here. Well, not necessarily housekeeping. That would be our house. Just a little bit of news. I wouldn't call it breaking by any stretch of the imagination. But Lamar Brown, 5-star prospect from U-High, right here in Baton Rouge, is going to announce his college decision on July 10th. That's something we have known, but he just sent out a tweet. How many minutes ago? 6 minutes ago. And said, I will now be announcing my commitment at 12:15 p.m. University Lab School Gym on July 10th, 2025. And he's got a picture of him in LSU gear, picture of him in A&M gear, picture of him in Texas gear, picturing him in Miami gear. And so we'll find out his commitment in 10 days from the U-High gym. We'll certainly have plenty of folks on between now and then to preview that. I think you're all pretty well versed in where that has stood for a while now. He spent a lot of time in College Station. He spent a lot of time in Baton Rouge. Everyone believes it's down to those two. Does he favor staying home and playing for LSU? Does he favor spreading his wings a little bit and going to play for Texas A&M? We'll see. We'll find out on July the 10th what that looks like. Very cool opportunity for some LSU baseball players today. I was scrolling through my Twitter feed earlier this morning and found the MLB Network Twitter handle was tweeting out videos of LSU guys. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Turns out that Anthony Ianson, Jared Jones, Daniel Dickinson, and Chase Shores all went up to the Big Apple and were in studio with the folks out at the MLB Network. And they were on MLB Central. They were doing some interviews. They did some fun little games on camera. And it was a cool opportunity for those guys who had to miss the MLB Draft Combine a couple of weeks ago in Phoenix because they were playing important baseball games. But they get an opportunity to be on the national spotlight. And it was they weren't wearing any LSU stuff. They were kind of wearing their MLB Draft like Combine polo shirts and whatnot. But they were very, very obviously complimentary of LSU and spent a lot of time talking about their national championship team. And I thought it was, one, I think it's indicative of where Chase Shores and Daniel Dickinson have eyes. Like, and I told y'all this last week. Like, I do not, under any circumstance, expect those guys to come back to LSU. I think there are those that look at Chase Shores. He's only a sophomore because he redshirted a year, and he could come back and start, and he can improve his draft stock, and all that is true. Like, he could theoretically come back and improve his draft stock. But the fact of the matter is that he is throwing 101-mile-an-hour sinkers and slamming the door on multiple College World Series games and throwing lights out in the SEC tournament. There are scouts everywhere. Somebody's going to take the 6'8" kid that does 101-mile-an-hour sinkers with a pretty good slider. That's going to happen. So these guys are done at LSU. I mentioned in the last hour that the guys that have options have spoken to the LSU program, and there's a plan for them if they decide to move on or if they decide to stay, and that I've been told. But I don't anticipate any path for these guys coming back. And it's indicative when you go and do something like this. I'm not suggesting that if you go talk to the MLB Network and you go talk to Bill Pito or Mark DeRosa or whoever they had at the time on MLB Central, like that you're ineligible to return. No, you're very much eligible, but you understand that they're not. And it's a cool deal because these guys have different stories. Like Jared Jones committed to the Nolan Cain Pulmonary staff. And then Pulmonary retired, and Nolan Cain was not going to be back at LSU. And then he was at A&M, and Jay Johnson came in and re-recruited him, and they got Jared Jones to come to school, and he becomes the third all-time leading home run hitter in the history of the program. And Chase Shores was a guy who was committed to a different school, and then Jay Johnson gets him to commit to LSU, and then he comes and he's an immediate impact reliever, and then he blows his elbow out, and he's got to come all the way back, and then he loses his rotation spot at the start of the year, and finally it clicks at the end, and he becomes a dominant reliever for a championship team. And then you've got Dickinson and Ianson, who, Dickinson is a walk-on at Utah Valley, but plays hard, works hard, produces, plays great, jumps in the portal. Boom. LSU says, you're our guy, second base, come on in. And he had a great year, a great, great year. Y'all remember, if you listen with any sort of frequency, like what I was talking about with Danny Dickinson in January, because he did not hit last summer when he left Utah Valley, and he did not hit in the fall. And I'm going, okay, like he looks pretty good in the uni, and his defense looks really good, and I see the production from Utah Valley, and I see the bat speed, and I see the fact that Team USA wanted to try out, but I'm looking at a guy who's not hitting. So it's possible that his skills don't quite translate. But if they do, you could really have something, because he stole a lot of bases at Utah Valley, and he hit some home runs at Utah Valley, and like this could be a guy that is a middle-of-the-order bat for you. And it turned out he was. And I didn't even give him full credit when he was lighting it up in February and early March, because I knew he could hit North Dakota State, and I knew he could hit Purdue Fort Wayne. He did that at Utah Valley. But he came to LSU, and he wasn't hitting the LSU staff. But he figured it out, and he was awesome. And he deserves a shot at pro baseball to see what he can do, even if he's counted out again. And then you look at Ianson, who was under-recruited, stayed close to home as a SoCal kid, pitched pretty well for UCSD, and then jumps in the portal. Team USA wanted to look. LSU brings him in. He gets into all these resources that LSU has, from the pitching lab to the weight room to the nutrition to the coaching to all that, and he blossoms into something that he really wasn't last year at UCSD. I mean, his strikeout numbers ballooned against far better competition. You're out there in the Big West. That's child's play compared to the SEC, compared to Omaha. And he was pretty good against the Big West. He was elite against the SEC 10 months later. That is a testament to LSU. And that is this group of players right here, from Shores, who is a significant draft risk as a high schooler that comes in and blossoms, to Jones, who was kind of a one-tool player looking for a position to play, lost his job as a freshman, becomes an all-time great in terms of home runs at LSU. Dickinson, under-recruited, not recruited, small school, portal, blows up, boom, onto the MLB Network. And Ianson, best number 2 in college baseball, pitches game 2, the clinching game of the National Championship Series, and throws it great. Like, very, very different backgrounds. Georgia, Texas, Washington, California, different routes here, but the same ultimate result. And I think Ianson and Shores are going to be top 60 picks. I think Jones and Dickinson will be middle of the first 10 rounds picks. And hopefully those guys just go crush it in minor league baseball and make it up to the show. But one thing you'll always have is the experience they had at LSU, the national championship that they won in Shores and Jones' case, 2 of them. And now an opportunity like this to go up there on MLB Network and to be on national television and to have that type of experience that you just don't get if you're at Utah Valley or UCSD. You just don't. And you don't get it if you sign a pro contract and go play for the, Helena, Montana Mountain Cats or whatever they are in high A. It's just something you get from the exposure that college baseball and a program like LSU, which you struggle to say a program like LSU because there's not really a program like LSU. But a high-end college baseball program offers you that opportunity. No matter if you're an elite high school recruit like Shores or no one have ever heard of you like Danny Dickinson. It all kind of came full circle for this team and their togetherness and the fact that they got it done when it mattered most. And it was cool to see those guys have that experience. And it also should, if you're an LSU fan, give you the closure on any of these guys that you were hoping, well, they might come back. Dickinson could come back. Shores, good leverage. He could start. Not going to happen. These guys are going to go play pro baseball. They're going to ride off with that national championship ring into that Omaha sunset, and that'll be the end of their time at LSU. And that's okay. They got it done, what they came here to get done, and it's a really cool thing to watch those guys kind of live all of that out. So just a note that I wanted to share this morning when I watched those guys give their interviews on they talked to Jared Jones about him hitting the walk-off against Tennessee, telling the ump the game was over, and they talked about going to LSU football games on a Saturday night, and Dickinson said he charged the field after LSU beat Ole Miss this past year. And just cool stories, cool opportunity for those guys, and they missed their chance to go to the draft combine June 17th to 21st. They were very much in Omaha, but now they get their chance to do some cool stuff like this. So awesome stuff for those guys and the brand that is LSU. Sharief Isheak in 15 minutes, the Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Look, the people at Genesis are part of what makes the Genesis experience great. Their brand ambassadors are so welcoming. They're so helpful. The facility is first class. When you get out of your car and walk in, airline at Piku, you'll be greeted. You won't be pressured or upsold or taken advantage of. All those stereotypes exist for a reason. They just don't exist at Genesis of Baton Rouge. So if you're looking for a luxury vehicle and a luxury experience to go with that vehicle, go to Genesis of Baton Rouge. You've probably never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Those are the odds at this point. They're fairly new to the game. Just go see. Put it on your list. You're going to be on Airline Highway anyway if you're in person shopping for a new vehicle. If you don't want to do it in person, just go to GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Want to test drive? They'll come to you at the office or at home. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, as I mentioned there. Airline at Piku across from Women's Hospital. Online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So, at the end of the hour, I talked a little bit about the rankings from the EA Sports college football video game, and we talked about how Jelani Watkins and Barry Brown are two of the 7 fastest guys on the game, and LSU's got a lot of speed, and that's all well and good. And I want to be clear, I'm not doing this segment to make the EA Sports ratings of virtual video game players like really relevant to the conversation of college football. It's more so just a light introduction into football talking season and kind of a take that I have right now that I want to dig deeper into before we go to Atlanta for media days in a couple of weeks. But I was looking at the top 20 quarterbacks for EA College Football 26, and I mentioned that Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier are tied for first with Drew Aller from Penn State at a 92 overall. But like the video game, say what you will, like that's who they say are the most talented quarterbacks in the country. And then I start to look through the list. And like Lenoris Sellers is 5th. He's a 91. And John Mateer is right there with him at 91. And Arch Manning is a 90. And DJ Lagway is a 90. And it goes through all the way through 20. And you go through the top 20 quarterbacks in the country. You do not see an Alabama quarterback. You do not see a Tennessee quarterback. You do not see an Auburn quarterback. You do not see an Ohio State quarterback. You don't see a Michigan quarterback. These are some of the programs that we consider the best in the sport. Now, Auburn hasn't been for a while, but there are times they've been really good. You've got LSU, and then from the SEC, you've got South Carolina, Oklahoma with John Mateer, as I mentioned, at 6, Arch Manning at Texas, DJ Lagway at Florida, and that's it until you get to Diego Pavia at number 17. And as great as the story was from Diego Pavia last year, if you told me that Diego Pavia was playing quarterback for LSU this fall, I wouldn't feel great about that. And if you told me Diego Pavia was playing quarterback for Alabama this fall, I would feel great about that. I think Diego Pavia is a nice story. I think he runs around and is kind of exciting. Do I think Diego Pavia is an elite college quarterback? I don't. I think he's fun. I think he's a fun college quarterback. Am I terrified that Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt are going to beat LSU in Nashville this fall? I am not. And it's just interesting to me that we're going to sit here and who knows what Ty Simpson does at Alabama this year. And who knows what Kirby Smart is going to be able to get out of his quarterback. And maybe Tennessee dodged a bullet with Nico and they'll be better at the position than they were the last 2 years. But it feels like some of the heavyweights in the SEC have big question marks at quarterback. And that's not because EA Sports says so. It's just like common sense thinking. In this era of the transfer portal, you just think of SEC teams kind of plugging and playing. So like you either have your guy from last year or you know what you've got next. And like I'm going to learn more about Ty Simpson over the next 3 weeks. I'm going to learn more about Ty Simpson over the next 7 weeks. And then we'll really see what Ty Simpson is at Alabama in the first month of the season, right? But does it feel like it's going to look like Tua? Does it feel like it's going to look like Bryce Young? I don't know. You just kind of always figured once Saban finally figured it out at quarterback and he got beyond the Blake Sims, Jake Coker stage, that they were just really good at quarterback kind of the rest of the way. Milroe had his issues, sure, but like, was he terrifying at times? Yeah. If you're an LSU fan, he was terrifying the whole time. But like, it just, I'm not petrified of Lenora Sellers coming in here. I mean, I think DJ Lagway's a really good player. Does he just strike fear into my heart coming into Tiger Stadium this year? Probably not. Do I think John Mateer is just going to go nuts this year at Oklahoma? Do I? Probably not. It doesn't feel like a great quarterback year in the league. And I want to be like very clear on July the 1st here, okay? I will bring some statistics. I will watch some more video. I will further educate myself to the degree that I can. I'm not a scout. I'm not a coach. I'm not a GM. I'm a guy with a microphone. But I do plan to put in the work. I haven't yet. This is a surface level view, kind of like stretching my football muscles before we get to Atlanta for media days. And I just feel like the SEC quarterback crop is a little underwhelming. You're pinning everything on Arch Manning being a superstar, which maybe he is. Maybe he's not. Garrett Nussmeier is the only one in this group that's like legitimately proven against the best. Yeah. And he had some significant turnover issues in some of those games.
There's a few interesting things in terms of just LSU wise, that in terms of the ratings for the team. So a couple of things. First, there are currently, we know, 3 LSU players ratings because they gave out the top 100 players that are rated in the game. And Garrett Nussmeier is number 1 at 92. The second, or well, yes, he's 91, but there's one more guy that's 91 overall as well for LSU. I don't think you're going to get it because I was shocked.
So Perkins was easy because like we're talking like just freakish athleticism here, and that's what they're going to prioritize. The next one, let me think about the entire field here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at you in case you want to nod. I'm listing a potential list here, and then I'll make my pick.
Okay.
Caden Durham is interesting to me because he's really fast and he was good as a freshman. And then I would look to Trey'Dez Green's a freak of nature. Nick Anderson had a ton of touchdowns 2 years ago. Patrick Payton was a freak statistically at Florida State. And then offensive line, I just don't think so. So, and we know Barry Brown's got really high speed numbers. I'm gonna go with Caden Durham.
Nope, it's actually a defensive player.
Okay. Oh, Whit Weeks.
Nope.
Okay, I would have felt bad if I missed.
I was thinking him too, but no, it's not him either.
Is it Patrick Payton?
Nope. It's hard. I mean, I'm shocked, honestly.
I don't think that you can give any of the corners that grade based on what they've done.
Ashton Stamps is 91 overall.
I mean, that's a pretty lenient grading scale. If we're being honest.
I'm shocked. Like, look. Could Ashton Stamps take a really big step this year and be LSU's maybe? I think DJ Pickett might be their best corner, even though he hasn't played a snap yet. But could Ashton Stamps take a step and be really good? Yes, he could. But the fact that they already have him this high before the season even started is pretty surprising to me.
It is. I'm looking. Okay, I quickly pulled up the Madden rankings. I'm going to find a 91 on Madden. Okay. Here's some 91s on Madden. Devontae Adams, Daniil Hunter, who's got like 1 billion sacks, is a 91 on Madden. Vita Vea.
I'll say
Khalil Mack.
Look, I'll say that it's hard to translate the ratings because it's all relative.
Correct.
You know, it's
all relative.
In college football, there's going to be guys that are 91s at the
But if you would have asked me what's Ashton Stamps' rating on the game,
84,
I would have said like 78.
I would have said that low, but for college football, like you're gonna have even the guys that aren't necessarily amazing talents, they're still gonna be a little bit higher rated.
They're very lenient, on the college side of this thing, and that's okay because again, this stuff doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, and one other thing that I thought was very interesting, they also had the team ratings, in terms of just their overall team rating and then like their defense and offensive number. LSU is an 89 on offense and a 92 on defense. So they had the defense.
That can't be right.
They have the LSU's defense with a 92 and their offense is an 89, which is
man, that's the thing. And we don't know anything at this point. If you could promise me that LSU was going to be good on defense, I would be like, okay, they're going to be really something. And I'm sure there are a lot of LSU fans that are sitting there today going like, yeah, they're going to be good on offense. I mean, defense. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I want to look a little bit.
I will say I don't know why this is. It's hard to. There's a lot of things that go into how they decide how these ratings are how each stat goes into the rating. But the top offense is a 91 for Texas, and then the top defense is Alabama at 96. So there's not even an offense that is close to the higher rated defenses. So there may just be some kind of way that the overall like works out for each side of the ball. But I did think it was very interesting that LSU's offense was lower than the defense.
It's I'm starting to get there with the football thing. We talked about it yesterday. And I'm gonna over the weekend when I come back Monday, I'll be more. A long weekend, a holiday weekend, I'll be more versed into. I intentionally don't want to slam the gas pedal on football consumption in early July because you'll run out of gas. I'll run out of gas. I don't know about everyone, but I'll run out of gas. And I want to pace myself getting into it, and I want to be full speed ahead when they report for camp. The Saints are in 3.5 weeks or so, and LSU's a week after that. But I'm interested in a number of things with LSU, and the defense just as a whole is one of them. The offensive line, I have no concerns, no issues, no fears whatsoever on LSU's skill players on offense. It's just none. I think Nussmeier's great. I think the wide receiver core is great. I think the tight end versatility is awesome. I trust Caden Durham to be a great SEC back. I don't know what the offensive line is, and I don't know what the defense as a whole is. A defense has to be the sum of its parts. You can have a great defense. You can have a terrible defense with 3 great players on it. But if the other 8 guys can't do their job, it doesn't matter. It's a sum of the parts deal. And I think that LSU's individual parts have a lot of potential. They have to work together as a sum. And it's a big question. It'll certainly be one that we ask for the next 8 weeks until they kick this thing off in Clemson, South Carolina. So you can tell it is July. We are talking about NCAA football rankings and speed ratings and how John Mateer compares to Lenora Sellers. But here we are. So let's talk some Saints with Sharief Isheak coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com is that website. If you're looking at the National Hurricane Center and they send some tweets out from time to time, there is some activity. None of it threatens us at all right now, but you know that day does come later in the summer. And the time to look at your property policy is right now. And if you don't understand what you're looking at in a property policy, just call the Highland Insurance Group. They will look at your policy for free. They're the experts. And I've spoken with Jonathan Carbo and his team on numerous occasions kind of about the things that they do to help their clients. And they are on top of it. I spent 7 years in insurance. I don't know it like I once did, but I know it well, and they know it a lot better. If you need someone to trust on your side, your insurance broker should be like your attorney. They should be like your CPA. You should be able to trust them with the inner workings of your commercial operation, and they'll make sure you're protected. They've got dozens of markets as an independent agent that they can contract you with for your commercial insurance program. And on the property side, they've got a lot, and that can be slim pickings down here in South Louisiana. If you want to be sure you can trust your broker to have your commercial policy placed in the right place with the proper coverages, Howard Insurance Group needs to be the first call you make. Check them out online. You can contact them right there. Reach out. Tell them you heard about them about them on the Hunt Palmer Show. It's the Howard Insurance Group online at highlandig.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
At Luba Workers' Comp, Our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At LUBA, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You just missed it, or did miss it earlier today, the news of the day here, kind of in this market. Santiago Garcia, left-handed pitcher from Oregon, transferring to LSU, high school teammates with Stephen Milam. Had a really good close to the season with the Oregon Ducks and has been throwing the ball great in the Cape Cod League this summer, and he'll be left-handed arm for the LSU staff. They've now added 3 left-handed pitchers in the transfer portal over the last week, and we think there's some offense probably on the way in the next few days. We'll keep you posted if we learn anything. And obviously, you can stay tuned for all of it on LouisianaSports.net. Let's transition over to the New Orleans Saints. Sharief Isheak, WDSU, is our guest from down there in New Orleans. Sharief, how are we doing?
We're doing well. I appreciate you coming on the Zoom once again. I feel like I'm monopolizing your time at least once a month.
I think that I have done that 3 times total. You have joined this show 150 times, so I don't think the trade-off is very fair. I'm getting far more out of you than you are out of me, but I'm happy to help whenever possible. So I'm glad to have done it. I want to talk about Tyler Shough a little bit because he's gone on some podcasts, and it sounds like he's really endearing himself to the Saints fan base. Have you caught on to that?
Yeah, he was on the St. Brown's podcast.
Yeah,
and that's probably they were dissing the food, which I'm kind of tired of those two guys trashing the city of New Orleans and the food here. It's getting kind of old, and I'm kind of glad that Tyler Shough stuck up for the city and said that's probably why you're not here anymore. And he's right. I mean, look, the guy is endearing. He was at Manning Passing Academy again as a counselor, as an NFL player. He didn't have to be there, and he was there again this year. And I think that really endeared himself to the Manning family. He's doing a lot of stuff that the former quarterback didn't do for this New Orleans Saints in the city of New Orleans. Going to the restaurants, hanging out with people, just hanging out with normal people, the normal fans in the street, going to Metairie, going to the North Shore. just hanging out in the city, going to Manning Passing Academy. I mean, he is doing the things that, like, you would want out of your possibly franchise quarterback, or at least your starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you need and you want from one of your leaders on the team.
What's your sense of his ability to lead from the interviews that you've been able to do with him, the practice you've been able to watch? It's always an interesting spot, but he's not your typical rookie because he's so old.
Yeah, but, you know, he still has to go through that process. I still think it's still a process for him. He's still trying to learn how to become a leader in the NFL. It's different. Yeah, he's 26, but it's still different in the NFL. Whenever you have to become a leader for guys who are in their 30s or upper 20s that have been playing in the NFL for a few years now, like Alvin Kamara. You're trying to lead that guy. You're trying to lead those offensive linemen who pretty much have been playing for a few years now. It's different, but, like, he's catching on. And I think the guys have spoken very highly of him in terms of being a commanding voice in the huddle and in the locker room. So that's a plus thing. That's a plus side for Tyler Shuck as he continues to grow in this process.
Two questions here, very different questions, but the same. What do you think the Saints organization's expectation of him is this first year? And then the second part of it is, what do you think Saints fans expect out of him for this year?
Well, I think the organization and Kellen Moore and the rest of the offensive coaching staff just hopes that he can learn. Like, he can learn this system, that he can be patient and not get frustrated, because it's, you know, the bullets do come at you very fast in the NFL compared to playing at Louisville. I mean, the processing the game, they want him to be able to sit there and process. They don't want to throw him into the fire just to fail and kind of hinder his ability to grow. I think that's what they want. They want to see him gradually grow in the system, and just in terms of being in this franchise. What the fans are expecting, I mean, it's hard to tell, Hunt, because I think you're hearing a lot of, well, this team's going to suck. They're not going to win more than 5 or 6 games. You know, Vegas has them at, I think, 5.5 or 6. So I just think they want something that's a good product. They want something that's exciting, you're showing me something for the future. Give me something that's like, okay, I think we're going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. He's going to be good. Show us that arm talent. Show us that you care. Show us that, you know, you won't go out in the field and fight with your center. You won't throw bad balls and get your players hurt. I'm being serious. I really think that the fans want to see, like, he's in tune, he's in sync with his offensive players. I think that's what they want. They want that level of fun, accountability, and excitement. So that's the thing that he has, the standards he's going to have to meet as this, you know, his career goes along.
It's interesting because, like, the Bears and the Browns do this with a young quarterback like every 3 years. The fan base kind of knows what they're doing. The Saints haven't done this ever. So, like, it's something they haven't drafted a quarterback this early in 50 years. So I just feel like this fan base is not equipped to, or hasn't been through nurturing a young quarterback along. They've always had one from free agency.
Correct. You're correct. I mean, they haven't drafted a quarterback this high since Archie Manning. You're right. So it's like it's getting used to something new, and that's just that's how it's going to have to be for the next year or two. People keep asking me, like, man, how long is this process going to be? It's like, it's going to be at least a couple years. You're going to have to hope that they have some growing pains, good growing pains throughout this year, and you hope that they draft very well again next year. You hope the players from this year's class, and you hope next year's class hits, and you have a bunch of money in terms of salary cap, because you're going to lose some of those veterans as probably expected, and you're going to have some money to spend, and you do well in free agency. But that's just the life of football, the cycle of the natural life of football. You hope that I think personally that they have to be very patient. They have to be very patient the next couple years, and that the franchise has to 100% hit on draft picks. This class has to be good, and the next class has to be really good. Plus, you have to spend your money wisely whenever you get it. So that's just, I think that's the gist of it. I think they understand that's the process with this team now. It has to be a patient process, and you're not going to get the 10, 11 wins this year and be like deep into the playoffs. That's once every few years you see it. You saw it with Jaden last year. It's been a while, but even before that. I mean, it happens every once in a while, but I personally don't see it happen. I'll come on your air and talk for 30 minutes how wrong I was if it happens, but it's going to be tough. I'll be honest, it's going to be very tough. There'll be some growing pains for everybody this year.
You're mentioning the fans like, well, this team's not going to be good. The over-under's 5.5, 6. But still, you look at the ticket sales for the training camp practices, and they're flying off the shelves, and everybody was there for OTAs. Like, is there still a good amount of excitement in the city, even though maybe the expectations for some are very, very low?
Yeah, of course. And I think the biggest reason for that, you change coaches, because I think it's tired of the coaching, Dennis Allen, and Derek Carr's gone. So everyone was tired of those two guys in the city and the accountability not being there. I think you can just feel the sense of relief in the newsroom. You can feel in the locker room. You can feel the sense of relief with the fan base when they made all those changes, and everyone's out there with a smile for now. Everyone seems a little bit more relaxed and happy because I think it's just the pressure is off for right now because the expectations aren't really there. There are no real high expectations that, hey, we need to win 12 games this year or we are going to make drastic changes and everyone's fired. No. It's hey, let's see what happens. Let's build. It's a process. Let's fix the things that we need to fix. Let's get the right players in here. Let's have deep players at each position. I think that's just how it's going to be run by Kellen Moore and the rest of the coaching staff and Mickey Loomis and his executives. It has to be that, look, we have to have a patient process. It's a soft rebuild, and then we're going to go from there. I think the fans realize it. I think that's all they wanted. They wanted a little bit of accountability. They wanted to see that some changes were being made because they wanted to know that, this organization still cares about its fan base. They heard him. They heard the fan base. They moved on from what wasn't working, and they brought in something that's young and creative in this coaching staff and some of these players. So they're happy. They're excited. They came out and packed out the stands for mandatory minicamp, and they're going to pack it for the training camp.
It's a new era. Hopefully, there's excitement a little bit more quickly than we all really anticipate. Let's talk about the Pels. Interesting moves that are being made, certainly on draft night, and trying to reshuffle this deck as quickly as possible. How did you see draft night for the Pelicans?
Yeah, I gave you 4 names. I didn't know they were going to move up that much and give up a protected pick, but unprotected pick. But I'm fine with it. Joe Dumars owns it. He owns it. He got the players that he wanted in the building. He said, I gave you 4 names that would be their 7th pick, and one of them was Jeremiah Fears, and they got Fears. They like Derek Queen. They got Derek Queen. They're just getting the guys they want in the building. And he's unapologetic about his ways, and that's what you want. You want someone who is stern. You want someone who is just going to own the decisions he made. David Griffin really was kind of like a car salesman at times. Joe Dumars is not. Joe Dumars is straight to the point. Will not tell you. He does not care what me and you think. He does not care what Bill Simmons thinks. He does not care what any national media thinks about what the Pelicans are doing. Doesn't care about Ryan Russillo making fun of them. They do not care. That's what I like about Joe Dumars. He's going to own and get the guys he wants. I thought the Jordan Poole trade was good. You get a 26-year-old in exchange for C.J. McCollum, who, by the way, amazing guy on and off the court for the city of New York. And then you add Kayvon Looney. I like, the numbers aren't the greatest numbers, but sometimes you don't need a center with the greatest numbers. You just need somebody with championship experience who's a veteran. 3 times in 10 years he won a championship with the Warriors. Hard-fighting guy in the paint will get you the 5+ rebounds a game, and that'll open things up for Zion Williamson, and it'll help out the wings like Trey Murphy. So, yeah, I've liked so far what he's done. Some people aren't going to like what he did because he gave up the pick for Derek Queen, but honestly, I keep telling people they keep doing this every year, drafting players, and guess what? They are not in the playoffs. So something has to change. Take a shot. Go get Derek Queen. Give up next year's pick. I don't care. Do something different. They did something different. People are going to be mad. So there it is. I like the players they have assembled. So
it's look, he wasn't tiptoeing. I don't know that I agree with giving up an unprotected pick, but it's a guy that's convicted in what he's doing, and if that's what you're hitching your wagon to, there's something to be said for that for sure. Sharief, we appreciate some time. We'll do it again next week. Thanks, man.
Anytime, Hunt.
Sharief Isheak, WDSU down in New Orleans. Step aside. Come back and close it out with some Take It or Leave It next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, closet space may not be number 1 on your list, but you never know when you might have somebody move into the house like I did, and she looked around and went, what is this? It's a bad situation. And I didn't realize what a difference added closet space could make, because I'm not all that bright. But we moved, we prioritized closet space, and it's made a massive, massive difference. You don't have to move to get a brand new customized closet space. David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets can do it for you. They've been doing it for 3 decades. So if you don't have enough room, you're jamming clothes in there, and there's suitcases, and there's all shoes all over the floor, you can either use your space more efficiently or just create a brand new closet. David and his team do that all the time. They're licensed contractors. They're bonded. They're insured. Don't just call the handyman down the street and float him a little bit of cash. Get somebody that knows what they're doing. David Duvall and his team can make that happen for you. Check out pictures of their great work at onebathandclosets.com. It's going to be functional. It's going to be gorgeous. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. onebathandclosets.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Reminder, we are out as a station on Friday for the 4th, but shows tomorrow and Thursday to kind of wrap up the week. Then we'll have one more week of programming in July from Baton Rouge, and then the whole crew is going to head to Atlanta on Sunday of the following week for 4 days of SEC Media Days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where we'll have OTB, my show, and AFR from the College Football Hall of Fame and SEC Media Days coming up in a couple of weeks. So it's, look, I talked about this at the top of the hour. Like, I would not suggest to you that we don't have anything to talk about in July. That's patently false. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got transfer portal stuff in baseball. We've got high school recruiting, and certainly there will be, like, Whit Weeks was named to a National American team today. There are things to talk about, and we will, and I'll certainly enjoy it. I'm more so enjoying and more passionate about games. And LSU doesn't play a game until Labor Day weekend, and the Saints don't play a game until 2 weeks after that. So it is in that way it's a different season, and it's one that you've got to adjust to and kind of take in stride. But it's just not my favorite. It's not my favorite thing to do, to come in here and kind of talk about. We talked about video game numbers today, and I'd really rather talk about LSU's baseball's transfer portal. I thought for sure LSU would get another transfer while I was on the show today. And they still have 3 minutes to get that done, but I don't know that it's going to happen. But I do believe that LSU is still actively shopping in the transfer portal when it comes to baseball, and we'll keep you updated here and on LouisianaSports.net for all of that as it does happen. We've only got one more order of business to do here, though, so let's play a little Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Take it or leave it, brought to you by Flight by Yingling. I can promise you this. There will be some Flight by Yingling in my hand over the weekend out at the lake. Very much looking forward to that. If you're looking to pick up some cold beer for 4th of July weekend, get the next generation of light beer. It's just 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, brewed by the oldest brewery in America. That is Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All righty, first one here, The Sopranos in the Palmer house. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it.
I'll take it.
Reluctantly.
All right.
The Sopranos is the best show ever. And maybe it is. And we watched the first episode over the weekend, the pilot episode. I've never seen it. I am aware of the controversial final scene. I don't really know what it means or how they got there. I wish I didn't have that as we start the show. I can't promise we're going to get all the way through it. Like,
it's
80
long.
episodes is a long way to go.
And they're an hour.
For a family that has 2 little kids that we can't get down until 8:30 at night. So Alyssa likes to go to sleep a little bit earlier. There's no, I don't have LSU baseball or LSU basketball in the weeknights, and there's nothing that I'm I want to watch the Cubs, but I can do that on my phone. So I'm hopeful that we'll start to get into it and grind through. Do I think it's a lock? I do not. There's a chance that it fizzles. We only got through one episode, and now that was Saturday, and it's now Tuesday. So
yeah. And
we're not watching one tonight, I don't think, because she's got a work thing to do, and so it's just. I don't know. It's just life is tough to sit down and watch a lot of TV shows.
It is. I would suggest to try to stick it out. I know, a lot of people do say, oh, it's the best show. It is very good. I've watched all of it. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen. There are some up and down in terms of this is
awesome. This is the storyline's not hitting the same.
Yeah, sometimes, but it's really good, and it's definitely worth a watch. But it is 80. It's 8 seasons.
80 hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of hours.
It's a lot.
All right, next one, the Cubs, Hunt. They just have a 2-game lead over the Brewers. Only 3 as well over the Cardinals, who are still hanging around somehow. They're getting a little worried. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Leave it
I
alone.
think the Cubs are better than those teams. The Brewers' pitching is irritating me a little bit.
Yes.
They're throwing it very well. Cubbies have not pitched it as well, and the offense kind of went a little cold, but they're still in good shape. They're treading water. They've got to beat the bad teams on their schedule, and there are plenty of those. So they got to go trade. They got to go get some pitching.
Yeah.
Which has got to happen pretty short order. So we'll see. But I feel good about it. If you would have told me before the season, 2-game lead at 4th of July, which we're not there yet, but I would have said, okay, I'll play with that.
All right, last one here. The Milwaukee Bucks are waiving Damian Lillard and also going to be signing Miles Turner from the Pacers. The Bucks waiving Lillard and signing Turner. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean, I don't. The NBA is the biggest reality TV show there is.
It is.
And now Giannis apparently is ticked off and telling people about it and that. I just don't think that happens as much in the NFL or the MLB. It's a soap opera, and that's probably good for ratings. But it's wild how often these stars change teams.
It
It's
is
just wild to me. But that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Tuesday. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. It's been a good show. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. A lot of baseball transfer portal talk. Had Glen West talking LSU. Had Sharief Isheak talking Saints. Always a reminder to check out Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints on YouTube for all of your football content. Musso, going to drive you home. He's back. Not still out this week. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, for a Wednesday edition Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra